It's time for the regular season finale as we head to Waco to wrap things up in the 2024 Texas high school football season. Hi, everybody, and welcome into Countdown to Kickoff on Bulldog Radio. I'm Curtis Quillin, alongside the head coach of the Copperas Cove Bulldawgs, Tony Johnson, and the defensive coordinator, Mike Evans. Gentlemen, thanks for taking some time to preview tonight's game with us.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you for having us.
So, as we always start, let's recap last week. The loss to Temple. You guys are right there in that thing in the fourth quarter, and then the wheels just kind of came off at that point. What happened that led to that, and then how did you see the guys respond after that, Coach Johnson?
Well, I started halftime. I would say, great response from the kids at halftime down as they were, and came out and we get the ball and we do what we're supposed to do. We drive it and move it down into scoring position. We're on the 5-yard line. It's 21-14 going into the fourth quarter, and you got a chance to tie the ball game. And you throw the ball, it bounces off a kid's hands, a catch he should have made. He knows he should have made it. They're kids. They make mistakes. I know he didn't want it to go that way, and it was just a perfect bounce into the hands of a corner from Temple, who proceeded to go 95 yards the other way and make it a 28-14 game. So, we had three turnovers in the fourth quarter, which were costly, all three leading to points. I'll go back, early in the game, it's 14-7. There's a fumble. And again, no excuses. Give Temple all the credit, but it's 14-7, and our defense turns them over. They fumble the ball about midfield, somewhere around the 40-yard line, I think. Mm-hmm. And the refs get together and say, "Oh, the kid was down. It wasn't a fumble." And then Friday night about midnight, Coach sends me the clip, and you can see it as clear as day. And then I sent that clip to the officials, and I got an email yesterday from the head official saying, "We make mistakes too, Coach. We're sorry. And all we can do is get better." And that's right. That's all they can do is get better. But that was a critical point in the game, too. Mm-hmm. So we had our chances, but very disastrous fourth quarter.
Coach Evans, does your defense keeping the game where it was heading into that fourth quarter and then to just continue to get answers? I mean, what did you see out of them Friday night against one of the more explosive offenses y'all have faced all year?
Well, I'll just say this. Our defensive line was phenomenal. I thought we outplayed them up front and kind of made them one-dimensional. And to their credit, they did hit some timely throws and some explosive plays there, but we were able to contain their running game for probably, I would go on to venture to say, one of their, if not their lowest rushing total of the season. And I just thought, Cameron Tuiasosopo and Gilbert Davis just really dominated up front, along with our other guys, Eli Lynn and our young guy, Matt Ziegler, who's getting better every week. Those guys just really, really played well up front.
To be able to, you think back to week one, and then you fast forward 8 games, to be able to say that against a team of that caliber at that point, what was it that just kept that build going to the point where, Blue Blood program comes rolling into Copperas Cove, and up front, that battle goes to the Bulldawgs?
Well, I like to call myself an optimist, man. We just stay the course. We never get down on the kids. We keep coaching. We keep teaching. We keep tweaking. We keep finding ways to get them in a position to be better. And the kids always respond. They do. I can't say it enough. We have awesome kids in Cove. And if, they want to be coached hard. They want to be led in the right direction. And, as long as you're proving that you have their best interest and you're putting in the work to get them where they need to be, they'll follow you. Our kids are awesome. So that's just all it was. They just kept believing, kept coaching, showing up to practice every single day. Nobody misses. And that's why we just continue to get better later in the season when you want to be better defensively when you get late in your district games.
Right, you want to be playing your best football in November.
Absolutely.
Coach Johnson, what's been the message in that locker room as you guys came back from the weekend after the Temple game and you get set for your season finale here against Midway?
Well, I think, there were a lot of tears, on Friday night from a lot of seniors that played their last home game. So you kind of deal with that part, right? And everyone always talks about, it's a 24-hour rule, give it 24 hours, win or lose, and then move on. And it was hard to be in that game at 21-14 and know you're about to tie it and watch it fall like it did. And so it took a little more than 24 hours for the coaches. We constantly working on the weekends and talking and looking at film and those things. And so it was hard for us. I'm sure it was for the kids too. We don't bring our kids in on the weekend. And so seeing them Monday, it was, we didn't have school. So we had early morning practice, and we had a great turnout. I think we only had one varsity player missing practice, so that's a good sign. And so there really wasn't a lot of locker room talk, but just kind of the lead off was, hey, you've got another game to play, a really quality opponent on the road on a Thursday, and you want to have some pride and finish this the right way, like you did last year when we beat Temple at the end of the year. So that's been our mindset, and feel like we got a good game plan so far. It's Tuesday, it's early, but this is a good football team, well-coached football team. Coach Gillespie's a dear friend, and coming back from the college ranks, he's obviously been a successful coach at Stephenville for 22 years before he ever got into college coaching. But we know it's a quality, well-coached opponent, so we're selling that to our kids as an opportunity to go out and showcase yourself one last time against a quality opponent.
You look at. You can look at the record. You can look at the way that the Temple game unfolded. On the flip side, you can look at everything this team has accomplished this year. You have some guys on the offensive side of the ball who have been putting up historic numbers this year and have a chance to really maybe the team achievement didn't come to fruition as close as y'all were to that point, but for some individuals who have a chance to etch their names in the history books, Anthony King is already in second in the all-time single-season passing yards rankings, and he can just continue to cement his position there. You have Tristan Glass is over 1,000 receiving yards on the season, which is huge, and then you have KJ Ziegler, who's on the cut. If he has just another one of his Thursday nights in this case, he'll wind up in the top 10 in single-season rushing yards, surpassing one of the marks that his position coach set. Yeah. To see those achievements, what would that mean for this team to be able to have those guys get that? And then what would that mean for those young men to be able to make those marks a reality?
Well, two of those three kids are seniors that have been in the program for 3 years, and they're great leaders and they're great people, right? And to see the success Anthony's had all year long has just been awesome, because he paid his dues and waited and did it the right way and had probably the best spring of any quarterback I've been around in 10 years. So, and then he followed it up into the fall, and it's clear that it's evident that hard work and committing yourself to, trusting the process, and then when it's my turn, works. And so, he is a testament to that. He's an example of that. And, unfortunately, Manny Harris threw for 3,700 yards. So unless we throw for, 900 plus yards in this game on Thursday night, Anthony will be the second. He is the second all-time leading passer in school history. And what an accomplishment for that. To be to come from where he's come from, and then back to Glass. That was his goal. Told me that 3 years ago. I want to catch 1,000 yards in a season, and he's done that with a game to go. Ziegler, we talked a lot about him last year. Moved him up week 5 last year as a freshman, and then the first game he plays, he gets a high ankle sprain on his second carry, and so we don't really get to see him much last year. But we knew, right? We knew what he was and what he could be. And so he's just a great little, not little, he's huge. He's just a great physical runner between the tackles, and he has a knack for seeing things. And so he's 219 yards behind his position coach, Donald Buckram, for 9th on the all-time rushing list. And then we're talking about that on Sunday, and Coach Buckram looked and said, I'm on that list twice. He's only passing my 9th spot. So we thought that was funny.
To see a sophomore break out the way he has and be the leader he is there, especially in the backfield where you need 2 to 3 leaders on any given Friday night, and know that you've got 2 more years with him on this roster in that backfield. How special is that accomplishment, and how excited are you for the future with KJ Ziegler?
KJ's super special, and he's gifted with vision and gifted with first step. Are there things he can do to get better? Yeah, absolutely. We hope he continues to have the kind of work ethic that those other 2 you mentioned have, and continue to grow and get himself in even better shape. But I think, his vision, his first step, his mindset are there. Now we need to see him learn the defense, from a, like Anthony can tell you, like if you put the defense on the board, he couldn't do that all that well last year. He could at times, but now Anthony can because it just comes with maturity and growth, and that's what I need out of KJ, and that's the next phase for him is, okay, now recognizing 4-man front, 5-man front, 3-3, whatever it is we're playing, understanding, I've got to, on this particular scheme, I've got to block, or on this scheme, I'm going out in a route, those things, and do the little things that make the well-rounded, all-around football player that he can become.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Thursday night. You've avoided it to this point, but week 11, you got the Thursday night after a Friday night game. How do you adjust the guys at that point, and how has the preparation been with a shortened week?
Well, for us, you start backing your periods off in district. Any coach will tell you that. And so you kind of have done that. And unfortunately, with a short week, you kind of have to combine things you would do on Tuesday into Monday and things you would do on Wednesday into Tuesday. And then your Thursday practice now has to be in Wednesday. Does that make sense? So we're trying to mail piece things like that. And so the good news is that it does come after, at the end of the season where the kids know, hey, these are things we work on. These are things we do. It's not foreign to them. So there's no reteaching the segments like, we're inside run today. We're fit drill today with the defense. And there's none of that. They know that when we blow the whistle and say this is what drill we're going to, they know that they can get there and get it done.
Up next, we'll dive into the matchup. Tonight's matchup on Thursday night. It's the Cove Bulldawgs and the Midway Panthers. This is Countdown to Kickoff from Bulldog Radio. Back on Bulldog Radio for Countdown to Kickoff, where we get you ready for the action. Curtis Quillin alongside the head coach of the Cove Bulldawgs, Tony Johnson, as we look on. In this block, we'll look at the Bulldog offense against the Midway defense. And Coach, that offense has really taken some steps forward. But what do you need to see from them tonight against a good Midway team?
Well, I'll talk about some things. You can always look for things to get better, right? Like you mentioned the numbers that those three offensive young men are putting up, and that's all well and good. But we're missing some key moments where. The third interception in the game, for example, last week, one of the receivers was supposed to run a certain route, which would have cleared the defender away from the guy we were throwing to, but he doesn't run that route. So the timing throw, set throw, the quarterback throws, and it's picked off because the other guy didn't do his job. And so we've had a little bit of that the last couple of weeks, and we can't quite figure out why. It's the same plays we've ran all year. There's nothing new. So why are we lining up correctly week 1, 2, and 3, and then week 7, 8, 9, we're not, and it's the same kids. And so as coaches, you have to go back and say, what is it that we're doing, or why are they not as focused? And it's really been the receiver position mostly that has done that. And so we've got to get that kind of sorted out, and that's kind of we've been kind of scratching our head the last couple of weeks on that. Some of that, just some kids that have, like I said, they've played all year. It's the same group. Why are they not understanding the same concept against this particular look? Why do you not do what you're asked to do? So, for us, there are still things to work on to improve upon, even as we talk today on Tuesday.
When you turn on the tape of this Midway defense, led by a friend of yours who 2-3 years ago was coordinating a defense in the national championship game. What pops off the tape at you guys? And without giving your game plan away, how do you guys feel like you can match up against?
The first guy that pops off the tape is right in the middle. When you run a 3-3 stack or a 3-3-5, you want to be good in the middle. So you want your nose guard, your mic, and your safety. That's where it starts. And so how convenient, right? And so if you're running that defense, those three guys are pretty good. But Roman, I'm probably going to butcher this young man's name, so if you're watching, Roman, I'm sorry. Roman Guijardo is short, but a load. He's probably pushing, 3 bills. And then you've got Cameron Kazuka. Again, Cameron, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but Cameron's playing really good football, and he's a striker. He's a downhill A-gap filler. So that's what pops off on tape, right? And then at the corner positions, they like to get right up in your face and challenge you. So that won't intimidate our kids at the receiver position. Our kids actually like that. It is a definite challenge defensively, which is what Coach Gillespie is known for. As you so well talked about his run at TCU, and even when he was at Tulsa, what got him the job at TCU, the fine job he did when he was at Tulsa. But, he's a great coach, great friend. Stephenville guy, been used to a lot of winning programs and a lot of winning culture. And so we have our hands full for sure.
When you look at your offense, the fact that you've got guys who love that challenge, that in-your-face challenge, especially Glass and Miller. I mean, when guys line up tight against them, that's when they seem to thrive. At least to me, up in the booth, how important are those matchups on the outside when you have a defense that plays that way?
Well, I mean, so depending on what's behind it, right? Are they going
Right.
to stay in man and run with you, or are they going to rob you? They're going to put a cover 2. And they mostly play cover 1 and cover 3. So if they are going to lock us down, it's a great opportunity. I think those kids love that challenge. It's the closest thing to 7-on-7 because it's man-to-man coverage, right? And so kids love that 7-on-7 mentality of I'm going to beat you in your face, kind of one-on-one basketball mentality. And so I think that is a challenge when those two kids feel when the corners walk up and press them. So, that's important. But I think more than anything, you always ask me what are my keys to the game, and I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but I think it's getting KJ uncorked and controlling the clock because, we want to play good defense and slow them down, but we also want to take some clock and score.
That's the offense. Up next, we'll flip the ball around and we'll dive into the Bulldog defense against the Midway offense. This is Countdown to Kickoff from Bulldog Radio. Back on Countdown to Kickoff as we get you ready for tonight's game between Copperas, Cove and Midway. Curtis Quillin alongside the defensive coordinator of the Bulldogs, Mike Evans, and the head coach, Tony Johnson. Let's start with Coach Evans. When you turn on the tape, looking at your defense, what is it that you guys have been doing particularly well the last couple of weeks that really needs to be there tonight for y'all?
I think the main thing is we've been able to adjust the tempo the last 2 weeks and get lined up and get ourselves in position to not get out leveraged because we've made a wrong call, or I think our kids have been responding to the pressure of tempo. I mentioned last week the concern I had about tempos. I thought our kids handled it really well. So that's the main thing, and I think that's the biggest reason why we've been able to be competitive on every snap the last couple of weeks because we've been in position.
To get those, those are, some people call them basics, but basics win championships in a lot of sports, and so to be able to start, building those and get those things right, how important is that? Truly,
it's extremely important. One of my good coaching buddies, Aaron Iwiabi, he's always say, "Man, they're beat by birth." Right, so hey, the kids are not even lined up right for the ball snaps. So that's just critical, right? So we've been able to eliminate a lot of that and get ourselves in position to be competitive every snap because of our alignments and our adjustments, and kids are communicating. And I think that's what's helped us thrive a little bit better here the last couple of weeks. When
you turn on the tape of the Midway offense, what pops off the screen at you?
Great running game. We have a very elite young sophomore at the running back position in KJ Ziegler, and they do too. They have a great young man running the football, number 4. I think it's Wissington. I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Lathan. He's a great player, a kid with multiple offers, and he's a real physical runner. Running style is very similar to, an Adrian Peterson, a Ricky Waters. Kind of a high stepper, glider. He's very impressive to watch on film.
When you look at that running game and then you look at the stellar game that your defensive line just turned in, does that excite you when you see how this game is going to play out, at least on paper?
Absolutely. Well, it gives you hope that hey, our kids are willing to step up to the challenge because I thought Temple had a very explosive running game as well the week before. But every game is its own entity. We can't live in the past per se. We got to attack this game and say this is a new challenge. Obviously they're going to watch our film and look at ways to attack us defensively to open up their running game. And, our game plan is totally different than what we did last week because of the style they have. And we just take that approach. It's a different entity. This is a singular great team. They're not concerned what we did last week. We're not concerned what they did last week. It's just about Thursday night and making it happen.
Coach Johnson, when you look at Cash Poland, the Midway quarterback, what do you see about him on the field?
You can tell he's a true leader. They rally around him. They respond to him. Well coached. He's a kid that, is new to that situation over there. I'll say it that way. But he is playing at a high level, an elite level. As it's funny. There's not a million, but there's at least 5 quarterbacks in our district playing really good football, including ours. So he's a good player.
Coach Evans, how do you go about working to contain, and as good as the running game is there, I mean, when you have a quarterback who can sling it like Cash Pullen can, how do you guys go about containing that without giving your game plan away, of course?
Oh yeah, well, he's a kid that's also a pretty solid dual threat. So we want to. We want to spy one of our linebackers, one in coverage, and our DBs are trying to play tight man and tight. Even in our zones, we're going to choke down a little bit to try to close windows for them, just make it a little tougher. You just don't want to give them easy throws, make them check the ball down, and we rally to it, that kind of stuff. So, like I said, and they have great design quarterback run game too. So that's always a tough challenge because they get that extra hat when the quarterback's the primary runner. So they've shown some of that in the last few weeks. So it's going to be a great challenge playing him.
The way modern football is, where it's a very offensive game, on the defensive side, do you guys find any challenge with the short week going from Friday to Thursday? No,
because you think, the offense had the same short week. We don't live in the excuse business. Everybody's got the same challenges. Everybody's got the same deal. Their kids got to get ready for the algebra test just like our kids do. So we just got to go play.
Up next, final keys to the game as we get you set for kickoff between the Midway Panthers and the Cove Bulldawgs. This is Countdown to Kickoff from Bulldog Radio. Welcome back into Countdown to Kickoff as we near the toe meeting leather at Panther Stadium in Hewitt as Cove faces Midway in the season finale. Curtis Quillin here alongside the head coach of the Cove Bulldawgs, Tony Johnson, and defensive coordinator Mike Evans. And gentlemen, I'm going to put y'all on the spot here first. I'm going to ask y'all to reflect on, years later what you remember about your final high school football game. Coach Evans, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I remember just dreading the week, dreading it. It was kind of a mixture of dreading and excitement, just closing the chapter. And, it was still an opportunity for us to get into the playoffs that week as well. So there was still a lot of excitement, but also just, wondering, okay, this could be it for our guys, for us together. A group I played with since 7th grade, grew up together. I remember it's at Forrester Field House in Military Parkway in East Dallas, and we were playing Samuel High School. And I just remember everything about that game and how it went, and just a great memory. And lucky for me, I got an opportunity to keep playing after, but for a lot of our seniors, and we're going to have several seniors that do as well, but I just hope that they really enjoy this week and take it in and leave it all on the field and have no regrets, because that's how I felt I did on my last game.
Coach Johnson?
Yeah, we lost in the third round of the playoffs. School that I went to went on to win 8 state championships 2 years after we left. We were always a significant playoff contender, but couldn't get past Lawrence High School. Lawrence High School was a perennial state champion, and they were in our district, and we beat them in the regular season. They went on the opposite side of the bracket, and I just remember we were winning that game 28-7 at halftime in the playoffs and thinking, we're going to the semis, this is our year. And they beat us 35-28, did Lawrence things that kind of hurt. So I remember that. But I, much like Coach Evans, I think, everybody knows this, right? You can play golf, you can play tennis, you can, go hiking, you can go rowing in a boat, you can go do a lot of things. You can play in an adult pitch softball league. There's even adult baseball leagues. But you can't play football unless you're a scholarship player. So it ends for a lot of people, and I think treasuring the high school moment and trying to make it a great experience for them more than just, obviously you want to win every game, but every opportunity you have, making it a great experience for them, because a lot of them, as Coach Evans perfectly said, it does end for them in high school. And so remembering that and saying, okay, this is a special time in your life that you want to remember. I played 3 years of college football at the small NAI level, and grateful to have done that. But there was nothing like hanging out with your buddies in high school, and I'm still dear friends with about 5 or 6 of those guys. And what do? We get together and play golf. We don't play football. So it ends for everybody.
Coach Johnson, your final 3 keys to tonight's game against Midway.
You got to contain Cash, as we talked about, and I didn't want to get too deep into that because people listen to this show. You got to contain Cash. You got to win the trenches, and I think this is really key on a Thursday night. You got to stay motivated. You got to stay in it for 4 quarters. You can't get lulled away by the fact that it's a Thursday night game, not a Friday night game, and I got to go to school tomorrow. You got to get out of that mindset, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Be interested and be ready to fight.
Gentlemen, appreciate your time. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
For producers Cole Witter and Matt Thompson, for defensive coordinator Mike Evans, and for head coach Tony Johnson, I'm Curtis Quillin saying thanks for joining us on Countdown to Kickoff. After this break, we'll send it back up to the booth for the action. Keep it here on Bulldog Radio.